Failure, written and published by Ngasline. In the grand theater of human achievement, failure stands as the unsung protagonist, a master teacher whose lessons are etched not in gentle whispers, but in the bold strokes of shattered expectations and reimagined dreams. Unlike success, which often masks the path that led to it, failure illuminates every misstep, every overlooked detail, and every flawed assumption with unflinching clarity. It is nature's most efficient feedback system, stripping away our pretenses and forcing us to confront the gap between our perceived and actual capabilities. Yet, what truly defines failure's transformative power isn't the moment of defeat itself, but rather the alchemical process through which setbacks become stepping stones, where each stumble contains within it the seeds of future triumph, provided we have the courage to harvest them. Lesson 1. Failing doesn't make you a failure, it makes you stronger. There exists a profound difference between experiencing failure and being a failure, a distinction that shapes our entire relationship with setbacks and challenges. When Thomas Edison famously said he hadn't failed 10,000 times, but rather found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work, he exemplified this crucial understanding. The act of failing is simply an event, a moment in time, while being a failure is a state of mind that we choose to accept or reject. The human mind possesses an extraordinary capacity for resilience, much like a muscle that grows stronger through resistance training. Each time we face failure and choose to stand back up, we build neural pathways that make us more capable of handling future challenges. This process, known as stress inoculation, transforms our response to adversity from one of fear and avoidance to one of determination and growth. Consider Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, who credits her success to her father's dinner table question. What did you fail at today? Instead of dreading failure, she learned to embrace it as evidence of pushing beyond her comfort zone. This mindset shift didn't just lead to her eventual success. It fundamentally altered how her brain processed setbacks, turning them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The strengthening effect of failure operates on multiple levels. At its most basic, it builds problem-solving capabilities as we analyze what went wrong and strategize new approaches. On an emotional level, it develops resilience by teaching us that we can survive disappointment and emerge intact. Socially, it helps us develop empathy and understanding for others facing their own challenges, creating stronger relationships and support networks. The story of Walt Disney being fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination illustrates how failure can catalyze extraordinary strength. Rather than accepting this judgment as truth, Disney used it as fuel to build one of the most imaginative entertainment empires in history. His experience demonstrates how failure often reveals our true capabilities by forcing us to prove our worth, not to others, but to ourselves. This strength-building aspect of failure extends beyond individual incidents to create a cumulative effect. Each failure we face and overcome adds to our reservoir of courage and capability. Like a blacksmith's hammer shaping metal through repeated strikes, every setback we endure and rise from shapes us into more resilient versions of ourselves. The transformation from viewing failure as weakness to recognizing it as a source of strength requires active engagement with our experiences. It means analyzing our failures not as verdicts on our worth, but as data points in our journey of growth. This perspective shift allows us to extract valuable lessons from each setback, turning what could be crushing blows into building blocks for future success. James Dyson's journey to creating his revolutionary vacuum cleaner involved 5,126 failed prototypes. Each failure represented not a step backward, but a move forward in understanding what didn't work and why. This systematic approach to failure as a strengthening agent demonstrates how embracing our setbacks can lead to breakthrough innovations and achievements. The strength we gain from failure isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. Each failure adds to our toolkit of experience, wisdom, and resilience. When we understand this, we begin to view our failures not as shameful secrets to be hidden, but as badges of honor that prove our commitment to growth and improvement. The path to strength through failure isn't always comfortable or straightforward, but it's invariably transformative. By accepting that failing doesn't make us failures, we free ourselves to take risks, push boundaries, and ultimately discover capabilities we never knew we possessed. This is the true power of failure, not in breaking us down, but in building us up stronger than we were before. Lesson 2. Every mistake is a step closer to success. The path to success is rarely a straight line. Instead, it's a winding road paved with countless mistakes, missteps, and apparent failures that ultimately lead to breakthrough moments. Each mistake we make contains within it a valuable lesson that propels us forward, bringing us incrementally closer to our goals. Understanding this fundamental truth transforms how we view our mistakes and enables us to extract maximum value from every setback we encounter. When we make a mistake, our natural reaction might be disappointment, frustration, or even shame. However, these mistakes are actually invaluable data points in our journey toward mastery. Consider how a scientist approaches experiments. Each failed attempt provides crucial information about what doesn't work, thereby narrowing down the path to what does work. This same principle applies to any endeavor we undertake. The key lies in our ability to convert these mistakes into actionable knowledge. This process begins with careful observation and analysis of what went wrong. Rather than quickly trying to forget about our mistakes, we should examine them closely, asking ourselves specific questions. What assumptions led to this outcome? What information did we miss? What could we have done differently? These questions help us extract concrete lessons that we can apply to future attempts. These lessons compound over time, creating a robust foundation of experiential knowledge that becomes increasingly valuable. Each mistake adds another layer of understanding, another piece of the puzzle that makes success possible. Think of it as building a personal database of what works and what doesn't. This database becomes more sophisticated and reliable with each entry, making future decisions more informed and successful outcomes more likely. The true power of mistakes lies in their ability to reveal blind spots in our thinking and gaps in our approach. Often, we don't know what we don't know until we make a mistake that highlights these areas of ignorance. This revelation is incredibly valuable because it shows us exactly where we need to focus our attention and learning efforts. It's like having a personalized roadmap to improvement, with each mistake serving as a signpost pointing toward areas that need work. Creating an action plan from our mistakes involves more than just noting what went wrong. It requires a systematic approach to implementing the lessons learned. This might mean developing new procedures, acquiring additional skills, or modifying our strategies based on our newfound knowledge. The goal is to ensure that each mistake leads to concrete changes in how we approach similar situations in the future. The cumulative effect of this approach is remarkable. Over time, what might appear to be a series of setbacks actually becomes a powerful progression toward expertise. Each mistake, when properly analyzed and learned from, eliminates one more way that doesn't work, bringing us closer to the methods and approaches that do work. This is why experienced professionals often make fewer mistakes than beginners, not because they're inherently more talented, but because they've already made and learned from countless mistakes along the way. This perspective shift, viewing mistakes as steps rather than setbacks, is transformative. It allows us to approach challenges with greater confidence, knowing that even if we don't succeed immediately, we're gathering valuable data that will ultimately lead to success. This mindset also helps us maintain momentum when things don't go as planned, as we recognize that these moments are not failures, but rather necessary steps in our learning journey. The most successful people in any field aren't those who make the fewest mistakes. They're often those who make the most mistakes the fastest, learn from them thoroughly, and apply those lessons consistently. By embracing our mistakes as essential steps toward success, we transform what could be discouraging setbacks into powerful tools for growth and achievement. Lesson 3. Your biggest failures often lead to your greatest wins. Life has a peculiar way of redirecting us through our failures toward paths we might never have considered otherwise. When we experience significant setbacks, these moments often serve as pivotal turning points that ultimately guide us toward our most remarkable achievements. This phenomenon, known as the pivot principle, demonstrates how our greatest failures can become catalysts for unprecedented success. Consider the story of Walt Disney, who was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. This devastating career setback pushed him to start his own animation company, which initially went bankrupt. Yet these failures didn't define his future. They shaped it. Each setback forced Disney to innovate, adapt, and push beyond conventional boundaries, eventually leading to the creation of one of the most successful entertainment empires in history. The power of redirection through failure lies in its ability to challenge our predetermined notions of success. When we fail, we're forced to question our approaches, assumptions, and even our goals. This questioning process often reveals opportunities we were too blind to see while pursuing our original path. Take the invention of penicillin, for instance. Alexander Fleming's failed experiment, which resulted in contaminated Petri dishes, led to one of the most important medical discoveries in human history. What appeared to be a ruined experiment became the foundation of modern antibiotics. Failures also serve as powerful reality checks that help us identify our true strengths and passions. Many entrepreneurs discover their successful business ideas only after previous ventures have failed. These setbacks often force them to reassess their market approach, business model, or even their entire career direction. The founder of Airbnb, Brian Chesky, faced numerous rejections and setbacks before his revolutionary idea gained traction. The initial failure to attract investors and users pushed the team to continuously refine their concept, ultimately creating a platform that transformed the hospitality industry. The relationship between failure and success becomes even more apparent when we examine how setbacks enhance our problem-solving abilities. Each failure presents unique challenges that require creative solutions. This problem-solving process develops skills and insights that prove invaluable in future endeavors. James Dyson created 5,126 failed prototypes before successfully developing his revolutionary vacuum cleaner. Each failure provided crucial information about what didn't work, gradually leading him toward what did work. Organizations that embrace this principle often find that their biggest market failures lead to unexpected breakthroughs. The classic example is 3M's failed super strong ad highs that became the hugely successful Post. It notes, "This transformation from failure to success required the ability to see potential in unexpected places and the wisdom to pursue these opportunities even when they diverged from the original goal." The key to transforming failures into wins lies in maintaining an open mindset and resisting the urge to view setbacks as endpoints. Instead, we must see them as doorways to new possibilities. This perspective allows us to remain receptive to unexpected opportunities that emerge from our failures. Many successful people attribute their achievements not to their original plans, but to their ability to adapt and pivot when those plans failed. Understanding that our biggest failures often lead to our greatest wins requires a fundamental shift in how we view failure itself. Rather than seeing it as a dead end, we must recognize it as a redirect signal, pointing us toward unexplored possibilities and untapped potential. This mindset transformation enables us to approach failure not with fear, but with curiosity about what new doors it might open. The journey from failure to success isn't always immediate or obvious. Sometimes the connection between a setback and subsequent achievement only becomes clear in retrospect. This reality underscores the importance of maintaining perspective during difficult times and trusting that current failures might be laying the groundwork for future successes. By embracing this understanding, we can approach our failures with greater resilience and optimism, knowing that they might just be the first steps toward our greatest achievements. Lesson 4. Fear of failure holds more people back than failure itself. The greatest obstacle standing between most people and their dreams isn't failure itself. It's the fear of failure. This paralyzing emotion prevents countless individuals from taking that first step, making that important call, or pursuing their deepest aspirations. The irony lies in the fact that this fear often causes more damage than the actual experience of failure ever could. Fear of failure manifests in many ways. Some people procrastinate endlessly, waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. Others overthink every possible scenario until they've convinced themselves that failure is inevitable. Many mask their fear with elaborate excuses, telling themselves and others why now isn't the right time, why they're not ready, or why the circumstances aren't ideal. These are all manifestations of the same root cause, fear. The psychology behind fear of failure is complex but understandable. Our brains are wired to protect us from harm, and throughout human evolution, being cast out or failing in front of our social group could have meant death. While the stakes aren't nearly as high in modern society, our primitive brain still responds to potential failure as if our survival depends on avoiding it. This creates an internal conflict between our aspirations and our instinct for self-preservation. Breaking through fear barriers requires a systematic approach combined with self-compassion. Start by acknowledging that fear is a natural response, not a personal weakness. Understanding this helps remove the additional layer of self-judgment that often accompanies fear. The next step is to reframe failure from a catastrophic event to a learning opportunity. When we view failure as feedback rather than a final verdict on our worth, it becomes less threatening. Taking small, calculated risks is crucial in building confidence and overcoming fear. Think of it as exposure therapy for failure. Begin with low-stakes situations where failure would have minimal consequences. Each small risk you take, regardless of the outcome, builds your resilience and proves that you can survive setbacks. As you accumulate these experiences, your fear gradually loses its grip. The power of incremental progress cannot be overstated. Rather than focusing on massive, life-changing risks, break down your goals into smaller, manageable steps. Each step should feel challenging, but not overwhelming. This approach allows you to build confidence gradually while maintaining forward momentum. Success in these smaller challenges creates positive reinforcement, making it easier to tackle bigger risks later. Developing a healthy relationship with uncertainty is another crucial aspect of overcoming fear of failure. Accept that no outcome is guaranteed regardless of preparation or talent. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation. Rather, it means understanding that uncertainty is part of the growth process. Embrace the unknown as an adventure rather than a threat. Building a supportive environment can significantly impact your ability to overcome fear. Surround yourself with people who encourage risk, taking and understand that failure is part of the journey. Their perspective and support can help counteract the negative self-talk that often accompanies fear of failure. Share your goals and fears with them and let their confidence in you bolster your own. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite feeling afraid. Every successful person has experienced moments of doubt and fear. The difference lies in their response to these emotions. Instead of letting fear be a stop sign, treat it as a yield sign. Pause, assess the situation, and proceed with awareness. The most powerful antidote to fear of failure is action. Each step forward, no matter how small, weakens fear's hold on you. As you accumulate experiences and survive setbacks, you build evidence that counters your fearful assumptions. Over time, you'll discover that the anticipation of failure was far worse than any actual failure you've experienced. This realization becomes your foundation for taking bigger risks and pursuing more ambitious goals. Lesson 5. Success leaves clues, but failure teaches lessons. The old saying that success leaves clues has merit, but it's the profound lessons embedded in failure that truly transform us. While studying success can provide inspiration and direction, analyzing failure offers deeper, more actionable insights that shape our growth and development. This seemingly counterintuitive truth becomes clear when we examine the learning process more closely. When we study success, we often see only the end result, the polished product, the perfect performance, or the profitable business. We miss the messy middle, the countless iterations, and the valuable mistakes that led to that success. It's like trying to learn a magic trick by watching only the final performance without seeing all the practice sessions where things went wrong. Failure analysis, on the other hand, provides a complete picture of the learning process. When we examine our failures closely, we uncover specific points where things went wrong, identify incorrect assumptions, and highlight gaps in our knowledge or execution. This detailed understanding enables us to make precise adjustments and improvements, rather than simply trying to replicate someone else's success formula. Consider a chef developing a new recipe. They could study successful recipes all day long, but it's through their failed attempts, the overseasoned dishes, the wrong cooking temperatures, the improper ingredient combinations, that they truly learn what works and what doesn't. Each failure provides immediate feedback and specific lessons that contribute to their culinary expertise. The same principle applies in business, relationships, personal development, and virtually every other area of life. A failed business venture teaches more about market dynamics, customer needs, and operational challenges than any business school case study. A relationship that didn't work out offers deeper insights into communication, boundaries, and personal values than observing successful couples. To maximize the learning potential of failure, we need a structured approach to analyzing and implementing lessons learned. This begins with maintaining an objective perspective when things go wrong. Instead of viewing failure as a negative outcome, treat it as a data point, valuable information that can inform future decisions and actions. A failure learning framework starts with asking the right questions. What specific actions or decisions led to this outcome? What assumptions proved incorrect? What information was missing? What external factors contributed to the failure? What could have been done differently? The answers to these questions form the foundation of our learning. Recording these insights is crucial. Our memories can be unreliable, and the emotional impact of failure might cloud our judgment later. Keeping a failure journal or log helps preserve these lessons and allows us to identify patterns over time. These patterns often reveal recurring challenges or blind spots that need attention. The most critical step is implementing the lessons learned. Knowledge without action is merely information. Each failure should lead to specific changes in approach, strategy, or behavior. These changes might be small adjustments or complete overhauls, but they should be concrete and measurable. Creating feedback loops is essential for this implementation process. Regular review of past failures and the resulting changes helps ensure that lessons stick and that we're not repeating the same mistakes. It also allows us to track our progress and see how our response to failure evolves over time. While success can inspire and motivate us, failure is our most effective teacher. It provides specific, actionable feedback that we can use to improve. The key is approaching failure with the right mindset, not as a setback to be avoided, but as a valuable source of information and growth. When we embrace this perspective, every failure becomes an investment in our future success, and every lesson learned brings us closer to our goals. Remember, those who learn to extract maximum value from their failures often find themselves succeeding more frequently and more significantly than those who simply try to emulate success. The path to achievement is paved not with unbroken success, but with well-understood and properly leveraged failures. Lesson 6. The only real failure is giving up too soon. Persistence is often the defining factor between those who achieve their goals and those who fall short. While failure is an inevitable part of any journey, the decision to continue moving forward despite setbacks is what truly determines success. The old saying, "Quitters never win," and "winners never quit" holds a profound truth, but it requires a deeper understanding of when to persist and when to pivot. The journey of persistence begins with a clear understanding of your ultimate goal. Many people give up too soon because they lose sight of their bigger vision during moments of difficulty. They mistake temporary setbacks for permanent defeats, not realizing that most meaningful achievements require multiple attempts and continuous refinement. Thomas Edison's journey to creating the light bulb involved thousands of unsuccessful attempts, but he famously stated that he hadn't failed. He had simply found thousands of ways that didn't work. However, Persistence doesn't mean blindly pushing forward without adjustment. Smart persistence involves learning from each attempt and making calculated modifications to your approach. It's about maintaining your core vision while being flexible about the path to get there. Sometimes, what appears to be giving up is actually a strategic pivot that ultimately leads to success. The key is to distinguish between necessary strategic changes and premature surrender. Building staying power requires both mental and emotional preparation. It starts with developing a growth mindset that views challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement rather than insurmountable obstacles. This mindset shift allows you to see setbacks as temporary and manageable rather than permanent and devastating. It's about understanding that the path to success is rarely linear and that each obstacle overcome makes you stronger and more capable. Maintaining motivation during difficult times is crucial for long-term persistence. One effective strategy is to break down larger goals into smaller, manageable milestones. This creates a series of achievable targets that provide regular doses of encouragement and progress measurement. Additionally, keeping a record of past successes and overcome obstacles can serve as a powerful reminder of your capability to persist and succeed during challenging times. The role of support systems in maintaining persistence cannot be understated. Having mentors, peers, or family members who believe in your vision and provide encouragement during tough times can make the difference between giving up and pushing through. These support networks can offer fresh perspectives, share experiences, and provide the emotional backing needed to maintain momentum when self-doubt creeps in. Energy management is another crucial aspect of persistence. Many people give up, not because they lack ability or determination, but because they burn out. Sustainable persistence requires finding the right balance between pushing forward and taking time to recharge. This includes maintaining physical health, emotional well-being, and mental clarity through proper rest, exercise, and stress management. Developing a healthy relationship with failure is essential for long-term persistence. Understanding that setbacks are not personal indictments, but rather natural parts of the growth process helps maintain the emotional resilience needed to continue. Each failure provides valuable data and insights that, when properly analyzed and applied, increase the likelihood of eventual success. The decision to persist should always be grounded in honest self-assessment and strategic thinking. There are times when changing direction or even abandoning a particular approach is the wisest choice. The key is to ensure these decisions are made based on careful analysis and learning rather than fear or temporary discouragement. True persistence isn't about never giving up anything. It's about never giving up on your ultimate vision while being willing to adjust your approach as needed. Most overnight successes are actually years in the making. The path to achievement is often longer and more challenging than initially anticipated, which is why so many give up before reaching their goals. By developing the right mindset, building strong support systems, managing energy effectively, and maintaining strategic flexibility, you can develop the staying power needed to persist until you achieve your desired outcome. Lesson 7. Failing means you're brave enough to try. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act despite it. When we choose to take action, knowing full well that failure is a possibility, we demonstrate a level of bravery that many never achieve. The simple act of trying, of putting ourselves out there in the face of potential failure, is itself a victory worth celebrating. Think about the last time you attempted something new or challenging. That moment when your heart raced, your palms got sweaty, and your mind filled with doubts. That was your courage preparing to shine through. Every entrepreneur who launches a business, every artist who shares their work, and every person who steps outside their comfort zone is exhibiting remarkable bravery. They're not fearless. They're brave. The courage equation is simple yet profound. Courage, fear, action. We often mistakenly believe that brave people don't experience fear, but the opposite is true. The bravest among us feel fear deeply and choose to move forward anyway. This understanding transforms our relationship with failure from something to avoid into evidence of our courage. When we take calculated risks, we're not being reckless. we're being strategic in our bravery. It involves assessing the potential outcomes, understanding the worst-case scenarios, and deciding that the possibility of success is worth the risk of failure. This approach builds what we call failure resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks with renewed determination and insight. Developing failure resilience is like building a muscle. Each time we try and fail, we strengthen our capacity to try again. The first failure might feel devastating, but by the 10th attempt, we've developed a thicker skin and a deeper understanding of the process. This resilience doesn't make failure hurt less, but it makes us better equipped to handle the emotional impact and learn from the experience. Society often celebrates success while hiding the numerous failures that preceded it. This creates a distorted view of reality where success seems to come easily to others, while our own struggles feel uniquely challenging. The truth is that every success story is built on a foundation of countless attempts, adjustments, and failures. By celebrating attempts rather than just outcomes, we create a healthier relationship with the process of growth and achievement. Recognizing and celebrating attempts changes our entire approach to goal setting and achievement. Instead of focusing solely on the end result, we learn to value the courage it takes to begin, to continue, and sometimes to start over. This shift in perspective transforms failure from a dreaded outcome into evidence of our commitment to growth and improvement. The bravery to try extends beyond personal achievements. It influences those around us. When we demonstrate the courage to fail publicly, we give others permission to do the same. This creates a ripple effect of bravery, where our willingness to take risks inspires others to step out of their comfort zones and pursue their own goals. Children naturally understand this concept better than adults. Watch a toddler learning to walk. They fall countless times but keep getting up, undeterred by their failures. Somewhere along the way, many of us lose this natural resilience and become more focused on avoiding failure than on embracing growth opportunities. Reconnecting with this childlike willingness to try, fail, and try again is essential for personal and professional growth. The next time you face an opportunity that scares you, remember that your fear isn't a signal to retreat. It's an invitation to be brave. Every attempt, regardless of the outcome, is proof of your courage. In a world that often plays it safe, choosing to try despite the possibility of failure isn't just brave, it's revolutionary. Your willingness to fail marks you not as weak or foolish, but as someone brave enough to pursue growth and change in a world that often rewards complacency. Lesson 8. Smart people learn from failure. Wise people learn from others' failures. Learning from our own failures is essential, but there's an even more powerful approach to personal and professional growth. Learning from the failures of others, this wisdom-based strategy allows us to gain valuable insights without having to experience every setback firsthand. Think of it as acquiring decades of experience in a fraction of the time. When we study others' failures, we gain access to a vast library of lived experiences, mistakes, and hard-learned lessons. This approach isn't about schadenfreude or taking pleasure in others' misfortunes. Rather, it's about respecting the journey of those who came before us and honoring their experiences by learning from them. By studying others' failures, we can identify patterns, understand common pitfalls, and develop strategies to navigate similar challenges in our own lives. Creating a systematic approach to learning from others' failures starts with intentional observation and documentation. Read biographies of people you admire, paying special attention to their setbacks and recoveries. Listen to interviews where successful individuals discuss their greatest challenges. Attend seminars and workshops where experienced professionals share their missteps. Take detailed notes about what went wrong, why it happened, and how they overcame these obstacles. Building a failure wisdom network is equally important. This network consists of mentors, peers, and even competitors who are willing to share their experiences openly. Seek out people who have walked similar paths and aren't afraid to discuss their failures. These conversations often reveal invaluable insights that you won't find in books or public speeches. Create safe spaces where people feel comfortable sharing their stories of failure and recovery. The application of others' lessons requires careful analysis and contextualization. Not every failure story will directly apply to your situation, but there are usually underlying principles that can be extracted and adapted. Look for common themes across different failure experiences. What patterns emerge? What universal truths can you identify? How can these lessons be modified to fit your specific circumstances? One powerful practice is to create a failure study system, a structured method for collecting, analyzing, and implementing lessons from others' failures. This might include keeping a journal of failure stories, creating mind maps of failure patterns, or developing case studies based on others' experiences. Regular review and reflection of these materials help internalize the lessons and make them more readily applicable to your own decision-making process. The wisdom of learning from others' failures extends beyond individual growth to organizational learning. Companies that encourage open discussion of failures and maintain detailed postmortems of unsuccessful projects create a culture of continuous improvement. They understand that sharing failure stories prevents the same mistakes from being repeated across teams and departments. Developing empathy through studying others' failures is another crucial benefit. When we understand the challenges and setbacks others have faced, we become more compassionate leaders, colleagues, and mentors. This emotional intelligence helps create stronger professional relationships and more effective support networks. Learning from others' failures doesn't eliminate the need for personal experience and growth through your own mistakes. Instead, it provides a complementary path to wisdom that can help you make better decisions and avoid unnecessary setbacks. The goal is to build upon the collective experience of others while remaining open to your own learning journey. True wisdom comes from the ability to recognize valuable lessons in every failure story you encounter, whether it's your own or someone else's. By actively seeking out and studying these experiences, you create a powerful foundation for personal and professional growth. The more you learn from others' failures, the better equipped you become to handle your own challenges and help others navigate theirs. Lesson 9. Failure builds character faster than success ever will. In the journey of personal development, failure stands as one of the most powerful catalysts for character building. While success can validate our abilities and boost our confidence, it's through the crucible of failure that our true character emerges and strengthens. This transformative process occurs because failure challenges us at our core, forcing us to confront our weaknesses, examine our values, and make difficult choices about who we want to become. Consider the way failure strips away our pretenses and facades. When we fail, we can't hide behind achievements or accolades. We're forced to face ourselves honestly, acknowledging our limitations and vulnerabilities. This raw authenticity becomes the foundation for genuine character development. Through failure, we learn humility, empathy, and resilience, traits that success alone rarely cultivates. The emotional growth cycle triggered by failure is particularly powerful. When we first encounter a significant setback, we might experience denial, anger, or disappointment. These initial reactions provide opportunities to develop emotional intelligence and self-awareness. As we work through these feelings, we learn to regulate our emotions, respond rather than react, and maintain perspective in challenging situations. This emotional maturity becomes an integral part of our character. Failure also tests and strengthens our integrity. When faced with setbacks, we must choose whether to blame others, make excuses, or take responsibility for our actions. The path of accountability, though harder, builds moral fiber and trustworthiness. We develop the courage to admit mistakes, the wisdom to learn from them, and the strength to move forward with renewed purpose. These choices shape our character in ways that success rarely demands. The adversity that comes with failure often requires us to tap into reserves of determination we didn't know we possessed. We discover inner strength when forced to persevere despite disappointment. This resilience becomes woven into the fabric of our character, creating a foundation of grit that serves us well in all aspects of life. The person who emerges from failure is often more compassionate, more determined, and more capable than before. Through failure, we also develop a deeper sense of empathy and understanding for others facing similar challenges. Having experienced setbacks ourselves, we become more supportive and less judgmental of others' struggles. This enhanced emotional intelligence allows us to build stronger relationships and contribute more meaningfully to our communities. Our character grows not just in personal strength, but in our capacity to connect with and support others. The process of bouncing back from failure requires us to examine and often redefine our values. We must decide what truly matters to us and what principles will guide our recovery. This introspection leads to a more authentic and grounded character, one based on conscious choices rather than default patterns or external expectations. Our failures become the chisel that sculpts our character into its most genuine form. Failure also teaches us adaptability and creativity, essential character traits in an ever-changing world. When our initial plans don't succeed, we must develop new approaches and solutions. This flexibility becomes part of who we are, making us more resourceful and innovative in facing future challenges. The character we develop through failure is dynamic and resilient, capable of evolving with circumstances while maintaining core values. The transformation of setbacks into strength requires active engagement with our failures. Rather than allowing disappointments to diminish us, we must choose to use them as opportunities for growth. This conscious approach to character development through adversity creates a positive feedback loop. Each failure handled well strengthens our ability to handle future challenges even better. Our character, ultimately, is not determined by our successes, but by how we handle our failures. The process of failing, learning, and growing builds integrity, resilience, empathy, and wisdom in ways that success alone never could. By embracing failure as a character-building tool, we transform our setbacks into stepping stones toward becoming stronger, more authentic versions of ourselves. Lesson 10. Behind every success story is a long list of failures. The road to success is rarely a straight line, and behind every triumphant moment lies a collection of setbacks, missteps, and failures that shape the journey. Thomas Edison's path to inventing the light bulb included thousands of unsuccessful attempts. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. J.K. Rowling faced multiple rejections before Harry Potter found its home with a publisher. These stories aren't exceptions. They're the rule. Creating a failure resume might seem counterintuitive, but it's a powerful tool for personal growth and perspective. Unlike a traditional resume that highlights achievements, a failure resume documents your setbacks, what you learned from them, and how they contributed to your eventual success. This practice helps normalize failure as part of the journey and creates a tangible record of your resilience. Consider Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Before becoming the youngest self-made female billionaire, she failed the LALSAT twice, worked as a door-to-door fax machine salesperson, and faced countless rejections from manufacturers who wouldn't take her idea seriously. Each setback added another entry to her failure resume. But more importantly, each one taught her valuable lessons about persistence, innovation, and believing in herself. Steve Jobs' story particularly illustrates how failure shapes success. His very public firing from Apple, the company he co-founded, could have been the end of his story. Instead, it became a pivotal chapter. During his time away from Apple, he founded Pixar and developed perspectives that would later revolutionize Apple upon his return. His failure resume included failed products like the Apple Lisa and Next computers, but each contributed to his ultimate vision and success. The comeback story is a fundamental part of human narrative because it resonates with our own experiences of struggle and perseverance. James Dyson created 5,126 failed prototypes before developing his successful vacuum cleaner. Colonel Sanders faced 1009 rejections before someone agreed to his restaurant concept. These numbers aren't just statistics. They're testament to the power of persistent effort in the face of repeated failure. Documenting your failures serves multiple purposes. It helps process emotions associated with setbacks, identifies patterns in your approach that might need adjustment, and creates a roadmap for future attempts. When you list your failures alongside the lessons learned and subsequent actions taken, you begin to see them not as endpoints, but as stepping stones. The psychology behind failure to success stories reveals that successful people don't have fewer failures than others. They simply persist longer and learn more from each setback. They understand that failure is not a judgment on their worth, but data for their next attempt. This mindset shift transforms failure from something to be feared into a valuable tool for growth. Every success story contains what could be called productive failures, attempts that didn't work but provided crucial insights for eventual success. Richard Branson's Virgin Group has launched over 400 companies, but not all have succeeded. His failures in ventures like Virgin Cola and Virgin Cars informed his later successful enterprises. Each failure added to his understanding of business, markets, and consumer behavior. Your own story, while perhaps not yet featuring billion-dollar companies or world-changing inventions, follows the same pattern. Every rejection, setback, or mistake contributes to your development and ultimate success. By maintaining a conscious record of these experiences and their lessons, you create a powerful narrative of growth and resilience. The key is to recognize that success stories aren't about avoiding failure. They're about persisting through it. Your list of failures isn't a mark against you. It's evidence of your courage to try, your resilience to continue, and your wisdom to learn. Each entry in your failure resume is a badge of honor, showing that you're in the arena taking risks and moving forward despite setbacks. This is the true pattern of success, hidden in plain sight behind every great achievement.